This office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful or wealthy or famous you may be. No one should doubt our commitment on that.
Talk about a day in the legal and crime world. And today, it all centers around Sean Diddy Combs and all of these details and filings in his new criminal case. And we're going to break it down for you right now, give you everything you need to know. So, the Southern District of New York is promising justice for multiple victims who say that rapper, producer, businessman Combs used his power, influence, and wealth to intimidate them into doing his bidding, whether that was obtaining drugs or performing sexually or cleaning up after apparent sex acts. Now, we've of course been reporting on Combs for months here on Sidebar. In November of last year, Cassandra Ventura, Cassie, Combs' ex, filed a huge lawsuit against him claiming that he abused her physically, sexually, emotionally for years before she was finally able to get away. Now, Combs denied everything she had to say in her filing. He settled the lawsuit with her just one day after it was filed, but we know that set off a chain reaction. Multiple other lawsuits against him and even against his son were filed alleging sexual abuse, sex trafficking, illegal narcotics possession, violence. Then, in March of this year, Homeland Security agents, they show up at Combs' homes in both Miami and Los Angeles, search warrants in hand. They raided both locations, seemingly collecting a huge amount of evidence, which we will get through in a moment. And we learned at the time that this was connected to a sex trafficking investigation out of the Southern District of New York, but we didn't know all the exact details. Well, you fast forward to this week, and Combs was officially arrested Monday night at the Park Hyatt Hotel in New York out in Manhattan. According to his defense team, he had been booked there since September 5th, that was nearly 2 weeks ago, and he was in town in anticipation of the charges being filed, which is important because now that Combs has been arrested and charged, he says this is an example to show he's not a flight risk. He's been cooperative. However, when U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, again from the Southern District of New York, held a press conference and was asked about Combs' cooperation in this case, he seemed skeptical.
Let me just say this. I think that generally with increasing frequency, the word cooperative or cooperating has taken on tremendous elasticity and it no longer really bears any relation to what the word means when we use it in a very specific context. So responding to lawful process and the like does not qualify as cooperation when we use that term here.
Now, there are still questions about future filings, possible charges against co-conspirators, whether Combs will be hit with additional charges. What we do know is we are now getting a look at what the prosecution believes they can prove. And that brings me to this major indictment against Sean Combs. So, prosecutors filed documents in federal court that lay out the accusations against Combs and his associates. Although, to be clear, Combs is the only one named in this filing for now. He faces 3 charges: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Now, during a hearing on Tuesday, Combs entered a not guilty plea to every charge. And if he is convicted of all charges, Combs faces a minimum of 15 years in prison with the possibility that the 54-year-old could spend the rest of his life behind bars. That's what we're talking about here. So we're going to break down each of these counts for you, as well as more on why Combs says he should be allowed out on bail while he waits trial. And let's start with the indictment. It's 14 pages, jam-packed with information. I want to hit the highlights. So first, right out of the gate, the government lays out some pretty damning accusations. Quote, "For decades, Sean Combs, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, a.k.a. P. Diddy, a.k.a. P. D, Love," they, throughout the course of this indictment, refer to him by his many monikers, the defendant abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on the employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Which brings me now to count 1, racketeering conspiracy. So the main idea here is that there is a criminal agreement an agreement to engage in racketeering. And racketeering is when there is a criminal enterprise, it's like organized crime, a grouping of people who break the law. They commit crimes. And a criminal enterprise is supposed to have a common goal. So whether it was to benefit financially, whether it was to satisfy Sean Combs' sexual desires, whether it was to protect him, there has to be a common goal in mind. We saw this, we're seeing this actually, I should say, in the Young Thug trial out of Georgia. Big thing for the prosecution is they have listed a number of different crimes. They're trying to say this wasn't done in an individual capacity, but it was done to further that gang. Similar idea here. Okay. Now also, as you're going to see here, in a racketeering case, there are numerous predicate crimes. These are underlying crimes that Combs is not specifically charged with, like arson or kidnapping or forced labor, but they are crimes under the umbrella of the larger criminal enterprise. By the way, I should tell you, the racketeering allegations that we see in this indictment are very consistent with the allegations put forward by Rodney Little Rod Jones, Combs' former producer, who was one of the people that filed a sexual assault lawsuit against him and said there were violations of racketeering law. In fact, although no one is specifically named in this indictment, you can kind of see who those alleged victims of Combs are, their allegations, that they were the basis for the charges here, especially Cassandra Ventura. Because we all know that when that video back in 2016 was released by CNN a few months ago of Sean Combs purportedly beating Cassandra Ventura in a hotel elevator bank, that was publicized for the whole world to see and he apologized for on Instagram, that is mentioned specifically in this indictment. Now, reading from the indictment, it says, quote, "The defendant and others known and unknown participated in unlawful and other activities related to the conduct of the Combs Enterprises affairs. These individuals included certain Combs business employees, such as members of Combs security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates of Combs." Now, one of the most startling examples of Combs' alleged control over those around him came from the description of apparent sex parties called freak-offs. This is something that Ventura and others alleged in their lawsuits. What are they? Well, the indictment says Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sex acts with male commercial sex workers that Combs referred to as, among other things, freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, I'm not going to say the next part, basically pleasured himself during, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and internationally. Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and often involved multiple commercial sex workers. So this is also kind of a flavor of the sex trafficking charge, which we'll get to a little bit later. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant. Sometimes, unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in sex acts with commercial sex workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. The indictment then provides more details about what Combs expected his employees to do before, during, and after these sessions.
Now, Combs did not do this all on his own. As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy. He used his business and employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff. The indictment alleges that those individuals facilitated the freak-offs. They booked the hotel rooms and stocked them with the supplies, including drugs, baby oil, personal lubricant, extra linens, and lighting. When the hotel rooms got damaged, they helped clean it up. They arranged for victims and commercial sex workers to travel for the freak-offs, and they delivered large quantities of cash to Combs to pay for the commercial sex workers.
According to the indictment, in or about March of 2024, during searches of Combs' residences in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Wow, you talk about physical evidence here to prove these claims. Now, federal prosecutors allege that Combs used the threat of violence as well as actual assaults to keep his alleged victims in line. The indictment reads, quote, Combs maintained control over his victims through, among other things, physical violence, promises of career opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and by other coercive means, including tracking their whereabouts, dictating the victim's appearance, monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with controlled substances. During and separate from freak-offs, Combs, among other things, hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims at times by their hair. These assaults often resulted in injuries that took days or weeks to heal. Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods, including if they resisted participating in freak-offs. So a majority of that indictment covers that first count, racketeering conspiracy. Now I want to talk quickly about the other two counts that he faces. So count 2 is a charge of sex trafficking of a victim by using force or coercion or fraud to have that person engage in commercial sex acts that are either for money or something of value is promised or given. And there were allegations that Combs had made promises of opportunities and so forth to get what he wanted. And he's also charged with count 3, which is related to the transportation of people for purposes of prostitution. There is nothing regarding minors. You know, there's been a lot of allegations that there were minors at these Combs parties, which we had heard before in these other allegations and these other complaints. Nothing about minors here. Now, Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, said that it's possible more charges could be on the way. He wouldn't confirm it one way or another, said nothing's off the table, so we don't know.
Yo, have you guys seen this? This, along with the baby oil. Why is nobody talking about this? Everybody's talking about the baby oil. This is what else they found. I'm not like surprised, but like this is insane. And the fact that they posed for a photo, yeah. I can't. And I mean, as much as that made me chuckle, like this is actually crazy. These clips have been online forever, shown on TV. Like he's been telling us. They all have been telling us. Remember the Kardashian episode where like Chris is like, oh, can't wait for the Diddy white party. They all are into this stuff. That's why they're so quiet. These are just a part of the weird ritualistic things that they do in this industry to work their way up. It is no coincidence that these celebrities are scrubbing their social medias, staying silent, serving cease and desist letters. Like, it's not just Diddy. He's just the one that was throwing the parties. They're all involved.
New surveillance footage obtained exclusively by CNN appears to corroborate some of the allegations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs wearing only a towel, assaulting his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016. A lawsuit filed by Ventura in November last year and settled the next day referenced actions that seem to match those seen in this video. There is no audio. According to the complaint, Combs became extremely intoxicated and punched Miss Ventura in the face, giving her a black eye, which, according to the lawsuit, prompted Ventura to try and leave the hotel room. The surveillance video obtained by CNN begins as she enters the hallway. The complaint says, as she exited, Mr. Combs awoke and began screaming at Miss Ventura. He followed her into the hallway of the hotel while yelling at her. The complaint goes on to say he grabbed her and then took glass vases in the hallway and threw them at her. In the surveillance video, Combs can be seen grabbing Ventura and throwing her to the ground. As Ventura lies on the ground, Combs then kicks her twice and attempts to drag her on the floor back to the hotel room. Ventura is seen picking up a hotel phone. Combs seems to walk back to the hotel room, then returns and appears to shove her in a corner. Moments later, he can then be seen throwing an object in her direction.
Cassie just filed a lawsuit against Diddy, and she's alleging some pretty disturbing things, so I want to start with a trigger warning. In this lawsuit, Cassie accuses Diddy of rape, physical assault, and sex trafficking. According to the lawsuit, Cassie met Diddy when she was 19 years old and got into a relationship with him when she was 22 years old and he was 40 years old. According to court documents, he immediately introduced her to a fast-paced, drug-filled lifestyle. She also alleges that he blew up Kid Cudi's car for being romantically interested in her. In the lawsuit, she says she signed a 10-album deal with Diddy shortly after meeting him and that he quickly helped her achieve success musically. But she says that he was highly critical, and not long after, he was controlling all aspects of her life. She then alleges that once they were involved romantically, that he started forcing her to have sex with male sex workers while under the influence of drugs and while he watched. Lawsuit also details years of physical abuse, while it alleges that his staff did little or nothing to help. The lawsuit also alleges that Diddy, Sean Combs, would force her to take copious amounts of drugs that eventually led her into an addiction. Another trigger warning, here you can see that she says that he raped her when she tried to leave him in 2018. According to court documents, she checked into a rehab center after leaving him because of the trauma and the abuse that she suffered during their 10 years together. The lawsuit goes into detail about the alleged abuse, some of it that I don't want to get into because it is just too heavy.
To New York City. And I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor
some...
Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody
it was crazy.
tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 in the morning with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And what do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem.
Yeah.
I had like,
What
like
a
a living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
As I told you, I think powerful people are being blackmailed, and I think they're being blackmailed all over the world. And I'm talking from royals to basketball and football players to singers to politicians to bankers, you name it, because pleasure is now the drug. Lust is the tool for domination, exactly what this book is about. And there has been no greater example of that recently than the Diddy case, which follows another explosive development yesterday. Now, let me tell you, it's been long suspected since it happened, since she died in, I would say, rather mysterious circumstances, that Diddy had something to do with the death of his ex-partner and the mother to his children, a woman named Kim Porter. Now, what happened was she mysteriously died of pneumonia at the age of 47. Not the typical way that a 47-year-old goes out, especially just when they are about to publish a tell-all book on their very famous ex, Diddy. But that's what happened to Kim. She died of pneumonia at the age of 47 years old. Well, guess what? It was just announced yesterday that Kim Porter's book is being published. It's a 60-page book entitled Kim's Lost Words. It claims to be a collection of the diaries of Kim Porter, the mother of Diddy's children, and it was leaked by her friends. Now, the person who's publishing is saying that he received a thumbnail from one of the friends who was very scared, and it is heavily implied they believe that Diddy had something to do with her death. In the book, Porter allegedly recounts discovering and making copies of the sex tapes that Diddy made of himself having sex with young boys that he was managing, including an alleged tape involving an 18-year-old pop star who went on to become a household name. Porter alleges that when she discovered those videotapes of Sean and his sexual encounters in the bedroom in this vault, she made copies of them as protection for herself. Realized that this is a very dangerous situation. I'm going to make copies for protection for myself, and included it as a part of her plan to leave him. But the memoir says that when she watched back the tapes, she was so shocked because there were things, quote, some of the tapes had things I would have never expected. The gay parties are one thing, but the young boys, like the 2 hip hop stars formerly managed by Diddy and the then 18-year-old pop star, I would have never known. The book publisher is claiming that it was the friends that gave him this thumbnail, the friends that provided this memoir. The friends also provided copies of these alleged sex tapes so that he knew that it was legitimate. And the final entry of the memoir from Kim Porter, before she mysteriously got pneumonia and didn't survive it as a 47-year-old, is her dramatically telling her friends, quote, he got me, and then calling 911. So this is getting very interesting. And what has come on the heels of this is people unearthing videos of Justin Bieber at Diddy parties. Now, Justin Bieber was obviously extremely young when he entered the industry, extremely innocent when he entered the industry, an industry that he did not quite understand as a boy who just knew how to sing and play the guitar and just did both of those things on YouTube. And then he was scooped up, and suddenly he was a part of people like Diddy going after him and saying, hey, man, why don't you pick up my phone calls? There's actually a video of that. Diddy and Justin Bieber looks to be like 15 years old and said, why aren't you picking up my phone calls? And he's like, oh, I know you were trying to contact me through people and I don't have your number. And the next thing we know, Justin is at Diddy's parties. And in this one video, it looks like whatever Justin is doing, and I'm not going to show it out of just respect for the fact that I truly believe that Justin Bieber is a victim. But whatever he is doing in this video with Trey Songz and Odell Beckham Jr. looks highly suspicious. I can show you a still from that video because I think the relevant part is Justin Bieber is not sober. He is clearly very heavily under the influence at this party. And if you remember that lawsuit that the producer Rodney dropped against Diddy, he said that unbeknownst to all of these people, they were being drugged at Diddy's parties, that they were pouring out the liquor bottles and replacing it with other drugs. He kept speaking about this pink drug, this mix, this cocktail of cocaine and MDMA, and that people that think they're just drinking vodka or just drinking water are actually all being drugged. And then once they're drugged, they do very vulnerable things. It has long been suspected that the person that people are now putting the dots together in Kim Porter's allegations that Diddy had under his thumb was Justin Bieber, and that he may have done some inappropriate things with him. And what I will say is that this very much fits the narrative. You know, we saw tons of videos of Justin Bieber. When he got together with Hailey, he was crying a lot outside of churches. He was finding his way back to God, but he was having a lot of emotional breakdowns. And what I sensed from those public emotional breakdowns, and only public obviously because the press was following him, was that he was coming to terms with the fact that he had been engaged in darkness unwillingly. And Justin Bieber probably has a lot of shame about that. He probably feels shame, first and foremost, as a man, as a husband, and as someone who has successfully created a new life for himself with his wife, Hailey Bieber. And so what I want to say to Justin Bieber and to everybody that's following the situation is that Justin Bieber is a victim. I was horrified when I saw this, not because of the idea that Justin Bieber would be engaged in these sorts of things at these parties, but because I understood that this was a kid who was intentionally targeted by Diddy, as the videos show, told that he wants to party with him. He makes it clear that Diddy is trying to contact him through people, and then he finally subjects himself and agrees to give his number. And then we saw an entirely different Justin Bieber. We saw Justin Bieber who was always wearing sunglasses, who was partying, who was very obviously involved in drugs. He spoke at length about his addiction, and Justin Bieber didn't do that to himself. Like I said, Justin Bieber was, in my view, a child victim. And as these videos are circulating on the internet, I want to make sure people remember that and give him the grace as someone who has somehow survived this.
The American Music Award goes to Justin Bieber!
I feel violated right now. How have you been enjoying the night so far?
Great. I just got to neck Justin Bieber and grab his butt.
I saw that you totally, it was like a full-on almost makeout session.
It was a little cougar scary.
Yeah.
But I took the opportunity in the window, considering I'll never get to do it again, and kind of molested him.
Well, we hear that he may be back on the market now and available.
Can you imagine how hilarious that would be? That would be the cougar score of the century. Jenny McCarthy dates Justin Bieber.
Would you?
I want some Bieber fever, and I want a Bieber rash.
Want it all.
It'd be like cougar rape.
I think what happened to Justin Bieber is exactly what happened to Aaron Carter. He just didn't have that support system that Justin has to survive it.
Don't understand how I dedicated 22 years of my life to my fans, and now they turn on me.
Do you regret ever getting involved in...
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years old. It was bad. I don't know if I'd be alive for sure. It was dark. It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. People take for granted encounters, and
Aaron Carter was crying out for help in the same way that Justin Bieber was. They were both labeled as crazy and unhinged and disturbed, but they really just saw the darkest places that you can, especially as a child. They both had completely sane reactions to a completely insane and disturbed and evil system. It just uses the magic of these young, incredible artists. Aaron Carter was a sensitive soul like Justin Bieber. He really tried to expose everybody in the industry through Yummy. And the imagery in that video goes way deeper than we ever thought. Notice how the server at the end resembles L.A. Reid. He's the last one at the party cleaning up, as if he facilitated this whole thing, and we know that L.A. Reid is like this with P. Diddy. Also notice how the outfit is here, the same outfit that that girl was wearing in the beginning, implying she's being essayed right now. There's so many messages in this music video, it's crazy. Yeah. But the craziest thing that I found was that Aaron Carter was somehow close to Morris Reed. Morris Reed worked very closely with Bill Clinton. Look at the body language, something is definitely off here, and the fact is that they're all connected. And of course we know that Bill Clinton was on the Epstein list amongst many. Why was Aaron Carter hanging out with somebody this closely involved in politics who was really close to Bill Clinton? You know, Bill Clinton was really close to Diddy. I guarantee you that Aaron Carter and Justin Bieber know everything about the child trafficking ring. These people are all connected and they were all exposed in this music video. Everything is always in plain sight. The way that Diddy was idolized and the way that people laughed with him and laughed at his really disturbing statements. It really tells you everything. People didn't think that something right in front of their face that's so idolized and praised could be so dark and evil, but that's exactly how it happens. I've seen some of the most darkest and evil things that really disturb them. And unfortunately, Aaron did not have that support system and that love that Justin Bieber thankfully has in his life to be able to survive this. We really don't know the truths that Aaron Carter wanted to come out with. It's really, really easy to paint him as this addict and crazy, the way that Amanda Bynes was painted. But it's really just a sane reaction, again, to all the trauma that they endured as children when they were supposed to be protected.
LA is LA again. L.A. Reid should not have had a job in the music industry. L.A. Reid has, you know what what your definition of flop is, and you're a numbers guy, which is why this conversation is good. L.A. Reid is the executive definition of a flop.
How so?
Everywhere that he has gone, he has spent more than has come in. He has spent more than he has generated everywhere he has gone. So
I've heard that.
I mean, you could Google this stuff. This is Arista is no more. There's a reason for it. It's L.A. Reid. Def Jam. Now let's get to Def Jam. Let's stay there for 2 seconds because I'm just gonna say it. L.A. Reid is a sexual predator. L.A. Reid is a sexual predator. And now that I have this seat, and now that these allegations are out, now let's just let the cat out. Let's just let the cat. No, it's not allegedly. It's not allegedly. Let's let the cat out of the bag. These rumors were circulating to Def Jam. There was an assistant, multiple assistants at Def Jam that said L.A. Reid liked to call underage girls in his office.
Underage?
Well, 18.
Okay.
I mean, that's of age. That's legal. Right. So, but you calling 18, 19-year-old girls in your office and soliciting sexual
favors?
Yes, that was happening. That was happening. I don't know if that got out to the public. I don't know how he ended up with yet another job. But this shit right here about my assistant, I don't think this is a secret to people in the music business. So my question is, why the fuck did L.A. Reid have a job in the first place? So that speaks to a much bigger issue of powerful men.
I agree.
Right. Like you were saying, powerful men being able to come and go as they please, no pun intended there, and we just brush it under the rug. I would like somebody to have to answer for his behavior at Epic, Sony. You can't just put this out. You can't just, because these companies, they just want to rid themselves of liability.
It said that they did launch an investigation, so maybe there's more coming. We haven't heard.
about that.
L.A. Reid, I'm sure there's a Bill Cosby list somewhere.
And also, I think they're trying to be real careful with it because they know a lawsuit's coming. The lawsuit,
you better believe the lawsuit is coming.
Hasn't came yet.
Now, I think, and I'd have to make some phone calls to find out about this, so I don't want to spew this as fact.
Look at the inside of Joe. Okay,
well, because this stuff is very important. You can't just spew hyperbole when it comes to this. I almost think that they have paid women to be quiet before.
Similar with Bill O'Reilly. I can imagine.
Yeah.
And you think the bill got too much in terms of allegations, or you think...
No, I think that Joe is going to be Joe, L.A. is going to be L.A. This is L.A. Reid. I think this is who he is. And any label, television show, anybody that hires him, you are hiring a sexual predator, and you should do your due diligence. What camera's on? This one? Do your due diligence to check it. Lawsuits are coming.
So
good riddance. By L.A. So hip-hop is a better place today without L.A. Reid.
Christian Combs, son of rapper, producer, and businessman Sean Diddy Combs, is accused of SA in a new lawsuit that names both men. The 31-page lawsuit was filed in Los Angeles Superior Court on Thursday, according to an attorney for the plaintiff, Grace O. I can't pronounce her last name, but you guys can see it. Grace worked as a crew member and bartender on a yacht leased by Sean Combs and his family in December of 2022. The experience was sold as a wholesome family excursion, but turned into a hedonistic environment, the lawsuit says, and suspected SEX workers and other celebrities were often brought abroad. In the early morning of December 28th, Christian Combs pressured Grace to drink a shot of tequila, and shortly thereafter he assaulted her, the lawsuit says. Grace believes the tequila, which she says Christian Combs brought abroad, may have been laced with drugs, according to the lawsuit. Sean Combs is not accused of SA in this lawsuit, but is included on allegations of liability and aiding and abetting. Kevin Hart, something's not clean in that water.
Everybody moves out, just being like, this is my scene. I'm used to this type of thing. Doing what I do best. Oh, shit! Oh, did the camera catch that? Got the camera! Got the camera! All right, okay. First of all, I know it looks bad with me running into the camera, okay? It was Puffy's party. He's called me, said, Kev, can you host a party with me? I said, yeah, dude, I said I'll do it. He said, look, we creating this little sexy scene in the bathroom. I was like, oh, that's gonna be hot. I'm promoting the party. I'm like, yeah, man, this is a nice event. You see, we up here in the tub. First of all, if somebody's hair is on fire, it's a panic. Yo, your hair. It should be crazy. This is all I heard. I heard, yo, your hair's on fire. I turned around, I saw it, I was like, oh! The flame grew, it was like somebody threw gasoline on it. So my first instinct was to save myself.
Just because somebody is a party goer doesn't mean that they saw some stuff. Maybe they generally didn't open those doors. Maybe they weren't handed certain things. People are literally standing down. Big CEOs for major companies, billion-dollar companies, are standing down. And granted, this might have been a decision that was years in the making, okay, in 2024, I'm going to back down and hand it over to someone else. Sure, maybe. But the timing is awfully strange. Usher has over 7,000 deleted tweets. Literally all his tweets are gone, just swiped. And then he addressed it by saying that he was hacked. I don't know about you guys, but I smell pure BS. Who is hacking Usher? With all due respect, legend and everything, love that down, love that for him. But who is hacking Usher? My question now is Diddy going to take these people down with him? Because my thing is, bitch, if I know that I'm guilty and the whole world knows I'm guilty and I'm going down for this, bitch, I'm not doing it alone. Simple as. I said it. I'm not doing it alone. I'm not. You'll come down with me too. You. If I know that I'm never, ever, ever in my life going to have freedom again, I'm going to take other people as well who encourage us, who are a part of this as well. Clive Davis. Now, Clive Davis is hugely responsible for P. Diddy's rise to fame, and he is the co-founder of Bad Boy Records. So yeah, ultimately in charge of Diddy and was his mentor, management, all of that. There are plenty of rumors that they were sleeping around, and in order for Diddy to make it, he had to go down on his knees, if you know what I mean. Now, this is not a new conversation that's been had. There's plenty of people in the industry who have been accused of just sexual activities in order to make it in their career instead of actual talent. I don't know whether this actually truly applies for Diddy, but this dynamic between the two of them has been odd for many, many, many years. And even as of lately, he still invites Diddy to Grammy parties, even though there's plenty of things out there about Diddy, and even though the world is waking up to Diddy, he still has him on the attendee list, which I don't know, I just feel like that's really strange. I possibly believe that he saw some things happening, but yeah, there is also a clip of someone saying that they saw Clive Davis and Diddy having, I don't know how much of that's true, because I do think also in times like this, people do come out and say things just for the sake of saying things. Let me go ahead and include the footage.
They said, nigga, you gotta take this shit, because we can't be involved. But Diddy smart. He filmed every fuck session. So he was fucking Clive and the motherfucking freak boy that run Universal Music Group. So he got them on some fuck tapes. Now that's why they raiding the house, because they got friends in Homeland Security and the feds. And they said, get in there and get them tapes from this nigga. He trying to blackmail us. That's what I believe is going on.
Ellen, now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, these Diddy videos, as much as I love to get this information out there for you guys, it's very hard for me. I'm not like a true crime babe where like I don't really watch true crime, whatever. Like I wish I was one of those people who wasn't a scaredy cat, but I just get scared and I start thinking there's people in my room. Babes, I ain't got time for that. Either way, I went to bed at like midnight, right? And I woke up around like 2 or 3 in the morning. Instead of me to be, bitch, I was awake. Rise and shine. Don't know why. And I was like, you know what? Let me go on Twitter. Yes, I call it Twitter, not X, because babes is always going to be Twitter for me. Okay, cool. And I was just like falling down this rabbit hole of like a bunch of different Diddy content. And it's not everything I believe because I don't believe everything I see personally. But there is too much out there. Too much out there. And baby, I don't believe in coincidences, okay? Maybe it's make believe. No, it's not. He's just in too many places where there's a lot of ish that's gone down, okay? And I do think that he's strongly capable of this. And I think there's actually plenty of videos where he's incriminating himself and he just sounds like an absolute monster. There's even a video of him talking about like locking up women.
We need alcohols.
Right.
Alcohols.
Right. Not just one alcohol.
Alcohols.
Right. Just different blend. You need the ladies, you need the booze.
You need some water.
For watering plants?
No. I don't know if guys have noticed this. Like a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, you know, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but rock with me. But just check it out. You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat. You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning. No. Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects like you know, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
Diddy appeared on the show several times. Ellen has made it very clear that she lives in one of the richest streets in... Where is she from again? She has a bunch of celebrity besties and celebrities around her and everything. And I mean, sure, that seems very innocent and sweet, right? Gonna assume Diddy's one of them. Diddy has several houses. Let's just make this very clear. He's not just like based in New York. He's everywhere. He came on the show a few times and there's one specific moment that stands out to me, which I'm gonna go ahead and include for you guys. It's the moment in which it feels as though Diddy's just going on and on and on and kind of incriminating himself. And then Ellen's kind of giving him the nudge like, okay, we're rolling.
Gonna be early?
Yes, I'm trying to be early.
Are you gonna be early for my party?
Yes, I am. No.
No.
You know I have to arrive fashionably late.
All right, not too late though.
Not too late?
Not too late, please.
What time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later.
Okay,
but not too late. Because, you know, once you get there, the party really starts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you. I promise you I'm not going to let you down on this big one.
All right,
For
good.
real.
Good.
Your shoes, your feet are going to have blisters. You're going to be dancing so hard.
I can't wait. What time do you stay up till?
I stay up till like maybe 6 in the morning. I'm back up at like 10:30, 11.
6 in the morning? What do you do every night till 6 in the morning? You don't go to clubs every night.
No, I mean, I make love a lot.
That's my favorite answer ever.
I told you when I came on the show I was going to be completely honest and expose myself to the world.
Yikes, yikes, yikes. Yikes, 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 yikes.